Hello and welcome to In the Roud. Greetings and salutations, dear listeners. My name is Matt Quinn and welcome to another episode of In the Roud, a folk song podcast. Join me as we travel through the world of traditional folk song, one song per episode in the order they appear in the Roud Index. Each episode features two guests, one providing a historical look at the song, while the other will be a singer to talk about their own version of the song. This podcast is proud to be partly sponsored by the Traditional Song Forum. Meeting regularly, both in person and online, the TSF provides a place for a variety of topics related to folk song, song collectors, singers, and many other aspects of folk song research to be presented and discussed. It's free to join, and most meetings are free to attend. So, discover more about the TSF at www.tradsong.org. And here we are again at the final episode of the season. It's come round already. How quick. And even though it's been all child ballads, except for this episode, there's been plenty of variety in there too. Some extremely well-known songs like Barbara Allen and The Unquiet Grave, all the way down to some pretty obscure songs like False Foodridge and Gelon Graham. I've really enjoyed diving deep into these songs with my guests. But let's get going with this week's song. We're looking at Roud 60, which is not a child ballad. Gasp, shock, horror. It is, however, the song entitled The Brisk Young Sailor. You may know versions of this song called Died for Love, and plenty of other titles, things like The Butcher Boy, The Willow Tree, The Tavern in the Town, The Ale House. We're about to get into all that, but you'll probably find after this that they are different songs entirely. Later on we'll hear from our singer guest Seb Stone, but for now let's take a look at the song's history with returning contributor Steve Gardham. Well, hello and welcome back to In the Roud. Steve Gardham, hello.
Hi, Matt.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
You too. It's been a while since we've last seen you. This is your only appearance in this season. It's the last episode, so we haven't actually had you on the podcast since last December when we were looking at Lord Lovell.
Yeah, well, you've been doing all these obscure one-off child ballads, and I don't know much about them.
Well, exactly, because this one is not a child ballad. It's the first
Definitely not.
It's the first non-child ballad we've done.
Not even a ballad.
Well, no, exactly. It's the first non-child ballad since May of 2025, last year, when we covered The Trees They Do Grow High with Sandra Kerr, did the history of that one.
Oh, that should have been a child ballad.
Well, I mean, there is that as well. It should have been. And if you want to include it, then the last time there wasn't a child ballad was a year and a half ago. So it's been child heavy for about the last year or two, or year and a half or so. Yeah. But a breath of fresh air for one song. We have The Brisk Young Sailor. But there are, I mean, that's one title. But this is
amongst many.
You and I were discussing this before we started recording, and I got confused even in our prep discussion. So, I don't know how we're going to do this. We are really talking about The Brisk Young Sailor because, as I've found out, there are loads of songs that are intertwined in terms of plot or floating verses. And you did, and at one point, they were all labelled Roud number 60. However, you did quite a lot of work at some point to try and sort them all out, didn't you?
Yeah.
And what we're left with, although there are still, as we found out, you sorted them all out, and so most of them are now indexed with numbers like 18,833 or 28 to 33 or something, isn't it? It's around that area. But what's left in the Roud Index for number 60 are 503 entries. But you and I have found already 10 minutes ago that some of those haven't are not the right thing and should have been moved to the 18,000 numbers. But in general, there's still roughly about 500 songs, 500 entries for Route 60, even after you sorted them all out.
That's right. So you're probably talking about 1,000 songs that were originally under Route 60,
Yes, which was a
or
rather
1,000 entries, shall we say,
yes,
not songs.
which would put it in the in if they did happen to be the same, which they're not, that would put it Brisk Young Sailor Died for Love, whatever, that would put it in the Barbara Allen level
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
rather than nowhere near it.
Yeah.
But in terms of the Brisk Young Sailor, what you and I believe to be Route 60, give us a plot and what is it about?
Well, I say it's not a ballad. It's mainly a lament. All of these items are basically laments, and any of the laments that we come across are mostly non-narrative, and they're just sort of people mourning about their situation and their love lives and things. And there are lots of these types of songs, and they do tend to the stanzas can come in any order, stanzas can come in, stanzas can drop out. A lot of them are what we call commonplaces or floating verses, and they tend to migrate from one song to another so very easily, whereas something with a strong storyline tends to stay more or less the same, or at least the story tends to stay pretty much the same. So we're talking about something slightly different. However, there is something of a narrative with the Brisk Young Sailor. So we're talking about the earliest one is not very old actually, that actually was crystallized round about probably 1860, 1870, which became the Brisk Young Sailor, which was contributed by broadside ballads going back to the 17th century. So bits and pieces have come in from all over the place, from various different longer pieces from the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries, as it's progressed and been rewritten and rewritten and rewritten. So what we're talking about as something that's called the Brisk Young Sailor. A brisk young sailor courted me, he stole away my liberty. That was a broadside printed by in the north of England by likes of Bebbington of Manchester, followed by Pearson of Manchester, Forth of Pocklington, Forth of Hull, mainly printed in northern England, but the bulk of the stanzas that are there are also found in another piece from the late 18th century called a new song called The Distressed Maid. And that has one, two, three, four, that has six stanzas, but five of those stanzas can be found in the later Brisk Young Sailor. So it was still evolving during the 19th century, but the majority of pieces that we now have under 60 have the bulk of their stanzas from the Brisk Young Sailor, the broadside Brisk Young Sailor. But having said that, some of the verses you're going to mention later on, some of the versions rather, you're going to mention from oral tradition in the 20th century. I've also got other floating stanzas that have come in there from some of the other relatives as well. So it gets very, very complex. Anyway, you've asked me to give you a rough rundown. So we'll take that Brisk Young Sailor from the 1860s. We've got a first person narrative. You've got the girl saying, a brisk young sailor courted me. And then it switches immediately to the third person. She ran down to the meadows gathering flowers, and that's one of the very early stanzas. And then it comes to when I wore it goes back to the first person again in the next verse. When first I wore my apron low, he followed me. So she's saying he was very devoted at one point. And then when in an alehouse, she saw him in the alehouse getting another girl on his knee. So that comes into that same double stanza there. And then she's another very old stanza then comes in there. Says, "Aggrieved I am, I'll tell you why, because she has more gold than I." This is the reason why he's going off with this new girl. Gold was waste, beauty blast. Poor girl shall come like me at last. Um, that verse, as I say, is very old and it's found in quite a lot of different songs as well. So very much a floating stanza, that one. And then we get to the really common stanzas like "I wish my baby was born smiling on its father's knee." So she's now, this is the real meat of the lament now. And I was dead in my grave and the green grass growing over me. We haven't got the really common stanza in there yet. Dig my grave and dig it deep. It isn't in there, but it does care in some of the later oral versions. And then it's just going at a list of sort of lamenting stanzas, which again occur in the commonplaces. "There is a bird in yonder tree. Some say 'tis blind and cannot see. I wish it had been the same by me before I gained his company. There is a man on yonder hill. He has a heart as hard as steel. He has two hearts instead of one. He'll be a rogue when I am gone." That one's not a very common one, but again, it's an old one. Uh, when they and then it's uh, you're presuming then she's committed suicide or died of love, and then we get the last two half stanzas. "When they found her corpse was cold, they went to her false love and told, 'I'm glad,' says he, 'she has done well. I long to hear her funeral knell.'" So we get sort of the shades of Barbara Allen coming in there, but there's the reversal of the sexes, of course. And then in Abraham's bosom she does sleep, while his tormented soul does weep. So you're getting the regret from him this time.
And I recognise that bit from the song Sheffield Park, which there
Yeah,
is links
that's
to that
right.
as well.
Crossover again, yeah. Sheffield Park, slightly older song that has other antecedents as well, or precedents. Sheffield, I've got Sheffield Park in front of me here. Yes, they come in there. So we've got so much crossover, and
Yeah.
Sheffield Park is one of those we were talking about earlier that's had to be moved out of 60 because it's an autonomous separate song, but it does have the stanzas.
And indeed, it's now 860, Route 860. It's been
Yeah,
turned into, which confused you for a second, but
it did. Yeah.
we sorted that, I think. But yeah, I recognise the Abraham's bosom bit. That's Sheffield.
Yeah.
That's
Mm.
I think, yeah, key to the Sheffield Park versions variants.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's all a bit. It's all a mixed, a very mixed can of worms. This.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that earlier one I referred to, which has six stanzas from about, I would say, it's got the F's for S's, and it's quite an old-looking one, probably about 1790, I would say. Just looking at the standard, it's in the Madden collection, and that's called a new song called "The Distressed Maid." The sixth stanza, it's the fourth stanza in here, is not one I've not found it elsewhere, so it's one that's unique to that song. "In Cupid's chains I am fast bound, no one can loose me but my love, loose me, sorry. It's oh come loose me and set me free and set me at my liberty." Sort of typical stanza of the whole thing, but I don't remember seeing that. Oh yeah, it does crop up. All right, it crops up elsewhere in other things, other um broadside ones, but I don't think it crops up in oral tradition. No, it's not in any of the oral tradition ones.
Right. Okay. Okay, so this is so much information. I don't really know what to ask next or how to sort of move it on.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so let me ask you then, because you mentioned saying about the 1860s, didn't you, or the 1850s
yeah.
at one point
Mm.
now. So let me ask you then, what I found in the Roud Index for Roud 60, the entry labelled earliest reference entry, which is for a broadside currently in the Manchester Central Library, dated circa 1790, called "A New Song Called The Lady's Lamentation for the Loss of Her Sweetheart." Where does that fit
Uh,
in? Where does that fit in?
I'm just trying to find it. Ladies' Lamentation. I've got so many different. versions here in front of me. Uh, Probably about 40, 50 different versions. These are just all from print and
Right.
uh, right. And what's it called again? What's the title?
Uh, a new song called "The Lady's Lamentation for the Loss of Her Sweetheart."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Broadside 893. I've got that down as circa 1800, and that has the first four verses, which are it is related. Definitely, it's part of the Brisk Young Sailor uh,
Oh, I think it's a
thing.
Northern
But then
Ireland
from
the one I'm looking at is a Northern Ireland broadside printer.
I haven't got a printer down for it
Oh,
for
it
some.
says broad BS printer and it just says NI, so I assume it's Northern Ireland.
No, no, NI stands for no imprint.
Right,
Doesn't
okay, there
tell
we
you.
go. I sit corrected. No imprint. There we go.
Yeah, yeah.
But it says circa
Um,
1790, so 1800 is that roundabout.
yeah, I've got circa 1800. I mean, it's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first four stanzas are definitely part of the same. Let me just have another look. Just compare it with the broadside. If I can find the broadside again. I'm switching between pages in a book. Yeah, so for the first four stanzas are certainly part of the Brisk Young Sailor, and one, oh, and two near the end, but the rest, and altogether there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, uh, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 stanzas altogether, and six of those are part of that Brisk Young Sailor. So, yeah, I would put them together. Yes, I would say that's a version of the Brisk Young Sailor, an earlier version, yeah,
Right. Okay.
and longer with extra stanzas in it. But some of the stanzas in that Lady's Lamentation, the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth stanzas all come from uh, an earlier piece, one, two, three, four, called from the 17th century, called in the Pepys collection, called The Constant Lady and False-Hearted Squire, being a relation of a knight's daughter named Woodstock Town in Oxfordshire. Okay, so that's 17th century. Some of the stanzas that have been put in there are from the 17th century. And then there's a stanza in there that's unique to that song.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, there are loads of examples of things like that, and of course, when you start looking at the oral versions, in particularly some of the ones in America, uh, it gets even more complex. You get stanzas coming from all over the place. Uh, Again, mostly some of them, quite a lot of them from the 17th century.
So let's I say briefly, it could be brief, it could not be. Let's take just a quick look at the other songs. So you said that originally there were about 1,000 entries in the Roud Index for Roud 60, and you've been through them all and sorted them all out. Or there still appear to be some mistakes, but that's probably just not mistakes to do with you. It's probably to do with the way the index is laid out. But you've been through them all and and figured out which ones should be labeled as different songs with different round numbers.
Yeah, and have their own autonomy, basically. Yeah,
Yeah, and these have been given. I suppose this was about 10 or so years ago. You did this, was it?
yeah, maybe more, maybe
Let me
10,
see.
15 years.
And so when
Yeah.
this happened, Steve Roud assigned them all not different round numbers, which start at 18,828. Was it
Yes, yeah.
18,828? So okay, let me ask each one in turn. What is now 18,828?
That is well, in chronological order. They don't come in chronological order, but I'll do that. I'll do it that way. I can do. Yeah, that is the song that's been crystallized from the American Butcher's Boy, which has another 188 number. Uh, I think anyway, it doesn't appear until just before World War II, and I think it's been brought across has crystallized from The Butcher's Boy, which is an American crystallization of the Brisk Young Sailor over there, and another song called The Rambling Boy or the Irish Boy.
Right. So
Which
what?
I know that sounds very complex, but it is.
So what
So
would
Died
effect?
for Love.
So what would effectively your master title for 18828 be?
Died for Love. That is the one that is the title Died for Love, yeah, because it's got the Died for Love. It finishes with that the three stanzas, three or four stanzas, the suicide, what we call the suicide stanzas, where the father or the lover comes home, finds goes up to a room, finds her hanging from a rope and a note in her bosom, and then it's the note. I wish my baby it was born and all that sort
Okay.
of stuff, and dig
Right.
my grave and dig it deep. And that forms the bulk of those versions,
Right.
um, known as Died for Love.
Because I've heard a lot of versions of "Died for Love" as I thought it was called, which turns out it is, that start with that it's just about the father coming home. It
Yes,
starts with
that's
a
right.
father
Yeah,
coming home
a
late
lot
one
of
night.
a lot of them are. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
grand.
There are versions of that in my own family,
Are
actually.
there really?
My uncle, who picked up a lot of his material from the Sods operas during, well, just after World War II, he was in the
Uh,
Korean War,
oh
and
wow.
he picked up lots of folk songs, folk type songs during that period. And funnily enough, my own sister, who is younger than me, actually sang the "Dig My Grave and Dig It Deep" verse in the school playground
Oh wow.
in the 1950s.
Wow. Amazing. So then, next one. Which song is now labeled 18829, and how does that relate to all of this?
Well, that is quite a different song in many ways, although there is a little bit of overlap because of this commonplace thing. That is deep. It could either be called "Deep in Love" or "Down in the Meadows."
Ah,
It's
okay.
one you sung, isn't it? Yeah.
So yeah, I used to sing a version of this, collected by Bob Copper from a woman called Gladys Stone. If anyone here listening has listened to Martin Carthy singing the version of Her Servant Man that opens his duo album with Eliza Carthy, that is collected from Gladys Stone. And it's the same woman who I got this song from, or Bob Copper collected it from her. And I'll give you a brief blast of that because I still know it just
Yeah.
about.
Could be useful. Yeah.
And he goes, "Down in the valley, the 1st of May, of gathering flowers both fresh and gay, of gathering flowers both red and blue, I little thought what love can do." And so it's that.
That stanza occurs in some of the early versions that precede the Brisk Young Sailor.
Right, okay. And then that
So
carries
that's where
on.
the relation is.
Yeah, where love is planted, there it grows. It buds and blossoms most like a rose. It has a sweet and most pleasant smell no flower on earth can tell. And then there's line verses about I put my hand into the bush, thinking
Bush,
the
yeah, that's
sweetest
the
rose to
pickle. Yeah,
find. If roses are such prickly flowers, they ought to be
that-
gathered when
yeah.
they are green. I love that couplet. I think that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
me too. Yeah, yeah. It's a super song. It's a lovely
I haven't sung it for years. I might bring it back actually.
song.
I leaned my back against an oak, thinking it'd be some
Yeah,
trusty tree, and then I saw a ship sailing on the deep. She
yeah,
sailed as deep as she could swim, whatever that means.
yeah.
And then
So
found
none of those verses are found in
no,
Brisk Young Sailor, although they are related.
but this one does end with, "But now she's dead and in her grave, poor girl. I hope that her heart's at rest. We will wrap her up in some linen strong and think of her now she's dead and gone."
That doesn't occur in all the versions, but
No,
yes.
right. So that's 18829. What, pray tell, is 18830?
Well, that's a separate broadside from the late 18th century called the Rambling Boy, sometimes called the Irish Boy, and it's characterized by, in the first verse, uh, referring to Ochnachoy. It is Irish, I'm presuming. It's sometimes called the Isle of Cloy in the first verse. I'll see if I can. Yeah, here we are. Where's the first verse? There we go. I am a rake and a rambling boy. I'm lately come from Ochnacoy. A rambling boy, although I be, I'll forsake them all and go with thee. Now that is the song, the earliest printed version I can find that contains those suicide stanzas. Otherwise,
Ah,
it's a long song, a long ballad, and none of the stanzas are related to any of the others that we're talking about. But it had the three stanzas, the three suicide stanzas tagged on the end that eventually became part of the Butcher Boy, which we haven't discussed yet.
right. Okay. Lovely. Glad we got that sorted out, or
Yep.
not, as the case may be.
Yeah.
And then, so I've written down 188300 Rambling Boy slash Irish Boy brackets broadside. Um,
Yep.
so 18831 then.
There are a few oral versions, of course, as well of
Yeah.
the Rambling Boy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But it comes from a broadside.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So 18831.
31, The Blue-Eyed Boy, that's an American piece that's related to the Butcher Boy. They use the same tune basically, and verses have migrated from one to the other. And I think the tune is also used as it's given the tune to that Died for Love one, 18828. That's the tune my uncle sang. A man returning home one night once found his house without a light. He went into his daughter's room and found her hanging from a beam.
Yeah.
And
That
that's the tune for the Blue-Eyed Boy.
right. That one, because yeah, that turns up a lot, and I think it might have the same route number. Let me just do a quick check on something. Even on mainly Norfolk, it says for yeah 18831. I was right. 18831. Reinhard has written, "This is one of the many variants of the Died for Love theme, originally clustered by Steve Roud as Roud 60." And anyone and everyone should be familiar with 18831, Blue Eyed Boy, because it's also the Willow Tree, where it gets called a lot as well. And Eliza Carthy made that one extremely popular. It's the last track on her 2002 album, her Mercury-nominated album Anglicana, and that's the one that goes. I think she basically sang the May Bradley one. Got it from Danny Stradling, who got it from May Bradley. Um, as I pass by a willow tree, that willow leaf blew down on me. I picked it up, it would not break. I passed my love, he would not speak. That one.
Exactly the same tune I've just sung.
There we go. Exactly. Yeah, I did know that. I was just singing it again.
Yeah.
And that brings us to possibly the second ever song in the podcast in terms of if you're going numerically from round one onwards, it's the second song we've come to that has been performed on Later with Jules Holland.
All
Because
right.
Eliza performed this on Jules Holland, The Willow Tree, and
All
the
right.
first episode of this season, The Unquiet Grave, Bellowhead performed that as Cold Blows the Wind on Jules Holland as well. So there we go. We're coming up with some folk songs that have been performed on Jules Holland, which is quite amusing. Anyway, so 18831, people will recognise that from Eliza Carthy and others singing The Willow Tree.
Yep.
Right, 18832.
Well, that is the Butcher Boy or Jersey City. That's the American crystallization of the our 60, which is the Brisk Young Sailor, and the Rambling Boy bit tagged on the end. There are some versions in Ireland, but they've come over from America. Well, you can tell that because it says in Jersey City.
18833. Is this the Sheffield Park one?
Well, you're telling me Sheffield Park's mainly under 860 now, so they need to be put together.
Oh, yes. So, but basically, when you were sorting them all out,
Yeah,
was 18833 assigned to the Sheffield Park ones?
yeah, yeah, because it was in under 60, and it shouldn't be. It's autonomous. It's got its own,
Yes.
sort of
Lovely.
text and everything, and it's quite a stable text as well.
Yes, and it's one I sing with George Sansom, a George Gardner collected version from Hampshire. In Sheffield, and it's in the Wanton Seed book, one of your
Yeah.
re-releases and things. In Sheffield Park, oh, there did dwell a brisk young lad, I know him well. He courted me, my heart again, but he's gone and left me full of pain. That one. And that's definitely round 860 now. That's definitely 860.
That contributed things towards the Brisk Young Sailor collection of verses rather than the other way around.
Right,
It's an
okay.
earlier piece. Yeah.
Right, okay. Lovely. And 860. So if I'm still around alive, and if anyone is still listening when I get to what is it, 860? So season 86. We're in season 6 at the moment. If I ever get to season 86, we'll cover it on the podcast, or if someone picks it for the Patreon. But
Oh, I'll
but
be pushing up
nevertheless,
daisies.
well, I might be as well. You never know. And does it go any further? 18834, or is that it?
Yeah. No, the Tavern in the Town is the student song that was made up from it from the verses. There is a tavern in the town, in the town. So that's 18834. It's an American college song that used the stanzas of the Brisk Young Sailors stuff.
Okay, and
There is
that
a
can
tavern.
and that
Yeah.
can tail back to Dartmoor. Bob Can played that tune, dun dun ya bum 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 bum,
Yeah.
as a dance tune with the Dartmoor Pixie Band.
Yeah.
He probably heard that
Yeah.
on the he probably heard that on the radio, or
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Well, I mean, it was very popular in the 1880s, 1890s. So, and
okay,
obviously it came over here. I've got three or four copies of different sheet music of it. One of them's called Radu Radu, which was a chorus.
okay.
But yeah,
So and this is another sort of problematic issue, is that there are some versions of the genuine Roud 60 that have been collected from traditional singers that have been called Tavern in the Town, I think.
yeah, because that's one of the verses in the Brisk Young Sailor.
Because that's one of the verses. God, blimey. This is,
in
yeah.
in the in the commonplaces, where is it? There is an alehouse in this town where my love goes and sits him down. There is a tavern in the town where my love goes and sits him down. He takes another gal on his knee. Why is not that a grief to me? Grief to me. So yeah, the verses are from a Brisk Young Sailor.
Right. Okay. And
But it's such an autonomous, separate, definitely, remade song. It's a
yeah,
pop song, if you like.
yeah,
It was definitely a big pop song, a big hit round about 1900. So, yeah, so that's why we gave it a separate number,
very good.
a different tune, and it just uses the verses, different chorus.
And then any more? 18835, or is that the
Yeah.
end?
18835 has been put back with 60 for some reason, but I said it
Oh,
ought to be
yes.
separate. I know my love by his way of walking, which is a sort of Irish, almost a few fragments thrown together. Herbert Hughes, Irish country songs.
Oh,
He
yes.
might have even written it.
Right, okay, we were looking this up, and yes, you'd put all the I Know My Love things, as you just sang, as
Yeah.
18835, but somehow over the last few years, Steve Roud, we're going to ask him soon, as shoved them all back to number 60 again, which, yes, is an interesting choice. So we'll come to the bottom of that at some point, I'm sure. Was that it, or is there a 36 as
Well,
well?
that's your lot, I think.
Four,
Oh
five,
no, we
six,
got
seven.
there's another part of the family that has some similar stammers. She's Like the Swallow, which is a lovely song, but it's a
Right.
broken old broadside. 2306, but that's not a 188. That's got its own separate number, 2306. But it is related with a couple of the floating stanzas, I think.
Okay.
She's like
Yeah.
she's like the swallow. Uh, yeah, quite a few people sing it on the scene, I think.
Yeah.
Got a nice tune to it.
Well, this is all very confusing, but
It is.
and you have spent ages doing this. Thankfully,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
didn't
a
you
long,
didn't
a
have
long
to.
time ago. Yeah.
Thankfully, you'd already done it, and you didn't do this just for me. You'd done this
Oh
years
no,
ago.
no, no.
You
Done it
would have,
years ago.
yeah. So, and I just noticed someone said in some sleeve notes, the country poet John Clare remade the text of this song into his handsome poem, A Faithless Shepherd.
All right.
And I've got it up here. It's 4 verses. Shall I read it out?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
So, a faithless shepherd courted me.
All right.
He stole away my liberty. When my
Yeah.
poor heart was strange to men, he came and smiled and stole it then. When my apron would hang low, me he sought through frost and snow. When it puckered up with shame, and I sought him, he never came. When summer brought no fears to fright, he came to guard me every night. When winter nights did darkly prove, none came to guard me or to love. Last verse. I wish, but all in vain. I wish I was a maid again I cannot be. Oh, when will green grass cover me?
Yeah. I'm just trying to find a version that covers all of four. Well, one of the verses there is unique. It is totally made up, and he's just got the first two lines of some of the others. Uh, you've got a brisk young sailor there in the first two stanzas.
Yeah.
The third stanza is totally made up, and the fourth stanza is the one that crops up in some of these relatives, um, probably the American versions, and in which one is it? Oh, the I know which one it is. It's the Deep in Love. It crops up in Deep in Love. I wish my babe was born and smiling on his daddy's knee.
Yeah, that's right.
And it occurs in the sort of Butcher Boy and Died for Love as well. So yeah, when would that have been written?
Off
Um,
the top of my head, I don't know. I have actually Googled it right in this second, so I'm trying to
yeah.
find any source. 2010, that's not right, obviously. I'm trying to find
Hmm.
some source that tells me when he might have written
I
that.
thought he straddled the around about 1800, didn't he? Claire, was it, or am I mixing him up? Is it was it later?
Uh,
Maybe later.
to be honest, I don't know. I'll tell you who would know. John Bowden. He's very hot on John Clare.
I've got John Clare, the Deacon book there. I can just pull it off. I can see it. Deacon.
Slight pause while Mr. Gardham attends to his shelves.
No, okay. Uh, no, it doesn't matter anyway because those verses occur in that 1790
Hang on.
broadside.
Yeah, so I've just Googled, I've just written into Google, when did John Clare write The Faithless Shepherd? There's no, I mean, being specific, and um, I mean, this is what the AI, Google AI, has obviously scanned all of it. We don't like the AI, but it can be vaguely helpful occasionally.
Yeah,
And it
there's
says
two,
John
isn't it?
Clare wrote A Faithless Shepherd around 1820.
That's about right. Yeah,
This is what AI says about it. Obviously, we can.
yeah,
I should try and delve further, but it says this poem originated as a song or ballad that Clare recorded in his collection of traditional Northamptonshire folk songs during that period.
yeah. Well, it predates the Brisk Young Sailor, but it doesn't predate that other earlier broadside from about 1790 that we talked about. So it's probably that's probably something that's come from there.
Like so Steve Roud always says, if I ask him a question, 90% of the time his answer will be, "It's not a simple answer."
Yeah.
And
Well, it certainly is simple with this particular song.
no, exactly. Is there anything else you want to say about this, or shall we cut it there and we'll move on to I'll sing a couple of tunes and do the recommended listening.
Yeah, I can't think of anything offhand really. There's just so many different printings and versions. You just couldn't mention them all anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the Roud Index is available for all to peruse and have a look through it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, there
yeah,
are you could I mean you could take it right back to the 17th century and mention one or two of the 17th century predecessors. And the diseased maiden lover is
All right.
one of the 17th century ones, and that has four of the stanzas that contributed to the later pieces. And then that's the faceless lover. What's 1676? As I walked forth one summer's day. So there were pieces like this uh, floating around using similar stanzas in the 17th century. So it wasn't just one or two pieces, there were quite a few. So your diseased maiden lover in the Pepys collection. Another one, you've got the constant lady and false-hearted squire. That's the Woodstock Town one, and that's nearly all of the stanzas there were contributed to the later ones. You've got the Oxfordshire tragedy as well, which again relates to the near Woodstock Town. And then you're moving into the 18th century. That unfortunate maid one you mentioned relates very closely to Sheffield Park.
Oh, that's the unfortunate swain.
Rain. Yeah. Well, it's called the unfortunate maid here as well.
Oh, okay. Because I found an entry in the Roud Index for that one. There was a chapbook circa 1765.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
Second
Yeah,
part of
that's
the
Aldermary Churchyard. Yeah, that would be about right. And
yes.
another, going back to the 17th century again, you've got an excellent new song called Nellie's Constancy, or Her Unkind Lover, who after contract of marriage leaves his first mistress for the sake of a better fortune, to the tune of the languishing swain. That's 1686, and that has five stanzas that contributed to, for instance, just to throw one in out. If I had gold, love, you should have part, but as I've none, love, thou shalt have my heart. Thou hast my heart, love, and free goodwill, and in good troth I love thee still. That occurs later on in lots of versions of this collection of songs.
Right.
And there's five of those stanzas in that one. And then there's the jealous lover, from the Pepys collection. So, there's lots and lots of related pieces floating around in the 17th century.
Yes, I don't know how you've managed to vaguely make sense of it all. Is it?
Well, all you do is you're looking through, you familiarize yourself with the later versions and the later songs, and then you look through all these early collections and say, "Oh, look, there's that verse there. Oh, look, there's that verse there."
Yeah,
And this happens quite a lot in this case.
indeed. Might this be the subject of a book at some point? You should write a book about all this.
Oh God, I have enough books on the go. Thank you at the
Oh,
moment.
okay. Very fair enough. Fair enough. See what we'll do then. So yeah, as by way of an example of some of the melodies, I spent half an hour before we started this Zoom chat hastily scribbling out the melodies to three versions, transcribing them, listening to a line, pausing it, writing out what I thought it was, playing it again, and I got through three of them. I made a start on three others till I realised they were different round numbers, but they were 60, but now they're 18,000, whatever. And so even I got confused within that. But I will give examples of three English ones because that's as far as I got in my list. I was hoping to transcribe about six or seven out and do some variety, but I got as far as the three English ones, and then it was time for us to record. So, Joseph Taylor, possibly the earliest recording, as you might imagine. Percy Grainger in 1908 on wax cylinder recording
Superb,
him.
superb singer.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So the Joseph Taylor one, and this is one. This is where the words are. Hang a minute. I wish my baby it was born, lying smiling on its father's knee, and I was dead and in my grave, and green grass growing over me. In the middle verse is
I want this to be in Joseph Taylor's key, and I want it singing in Joseph Taylor's voice, please.
not sure about the voice, but I've transcribed it in the right key. It's in E minor. But the second verse is the I wish, but all in vain. And the third, I wish I was a maid again. And the third verse is dig me my grave, both long and deep. Oh, long, wide, and deep. Beg your pardon.
Hmm.
Is that one? So let me give this a go. I wish my baby it was born, lying smiling on its father's knee, and I was dead and in my grave, and green grass growing over me.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Phew. Uh, so that's really nice modal. That's E minor with a
Oh,
C
it's
sharp. So that's
lovely. Absolutely
that
lovely.
is the Dorian mode, if anyone cares. That's
Mhm.
minor but with a sharpened sixth. La da 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 da. Joseph Taylor. That's Lincolnshire, isn't it? 'Cause it's Joseph Taylor.
Yep.
The recording of the Wax Cylinder is available on the, if you were lucky enough to get a copy of the Leader LP on Two Brig Fair, came out in 1972. I have that on my shelf.
Got
It's
one somewhere.
fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then moving on to, I mentioned Tom Willett, the recording of Tom Willett singing that on the Roving Journeymen LP from 1962. I think that is the earliest official release of traditional English singers. The Topic made 1962, and Tom Willett was 84, and he sang this. Oh, it's down the green meadow where the poor girls they roam, a gathering flowers just as they grow. She gathered her flowers and way she came, but she left the sweetest rose behind.
Mhm. Yeah, sounds familiar. I can't. It's,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's Tom
used for
Willett.
other things. Yeah.
And then the other one I've managed to transcribe for the listeners is Jeff Ling. So Suffolk, East Anglia, Blackshall. Jeff Ling, who sang it to Keith Summers in the home of Cyril Poacher in Stone Common in Blackshall in 1974. And it's on the 1977 Topic album of the Ling family called Singing Traditions of a Suffolk Family. Also included on the 1998 Voice of the People Volume 10, Who's That at My Bed Window?
Ah, right. Got that. Yeah.
And it goes, it's in the same key, I sang it in the same key. There is a tavern in the town, and where my true love sits himself down, and every day take a fresh girl on his knee. Oh, don't you think it is grief to me?
There's some similarity with the previous tune.
It
Yeah.
is. There's differences and similarities, and that is, and this is a thing Vic Gammon mentioned to me once, is that with the child ballads, providing melody examples is quite easy because we just go to Bronson, and there they all are, or at least any melodies collected before the mid 1950s. But when it comes to ordinary folk songs, as it were, non-child songs, the only way to provide song melodies is for me to transcribe them out and sing a few of them, and that takes a lot longer to do than it does to just sight sing some in Bronson. So we got
Oh, you
loads
could
of.
just play the recordings.
Well, I will do later on. There will be some recordings in the break, but I like to sing a few by way of an example, some other ones. So
Yeah. Hmm.
as well. But nevertheless, yes, there's three for you. And then in the recommended listening, I would recommend Joseph Taylor, as I said. Percy Granger, it's on Two Brig Fair. Tom Willett is on The Roving Journeyman. Jeff Ling is on Voice of the People Volume 10 and on songs of traditional singing traditions of a Suffolk family. I'll also point people towards, I wouldn't be able to sing this at all, but Sarah Porter Died for Love at a pub called The Three Cups in Punnet's Town in 1965. That's on the Musical Traditions release called Just Another Saturday Night, which is Brian Matthews recording song sessions at loads of Sussex pubs. The Cherry Tree in Copthorne, the Plough at Three Bridges, the Royal Oak, the Three Cups in Punnet's Down, the Abergavenny Arms in Copthorne. and that's where lots and a significant portion of my repertoire and other repertoires have come from that double disc thing. Just another Saturday night, songs from county pubs, Sussex 1960. Well worth checking that one out. Queen Caroline Hughes singing "Died for Love" in her to Peter Kennedy in her caravan near Blandford in Dorset in 1968 is on the Voice of the People Volume 22. I'm a Romany Rye, as well as on the musical traditions anthology called Sheep, Crook, and Black Dog, which is ostensibly the complete Queen Caroline Hughes, because that's what musical traditions did. There's Danny Brazel and Lemmy Brazel as well, the Gloucestershire Travellers, Gypsy Travellers. Danny Brazel sang "A Bold Fisherman Courted Me," which is linked to that to Willem Davis in 1978. That is on the musical traditions anthology of the Brazel family recordings called "Down by the Old Riverside." And also on there is Lemmy Brazel playing the melody of the song on her melodeon. So, and that's great as well. Three others I wanted to mention, if I can find the listings for them. We have Emma Vickers, but I think Emma Vickers. This is where I get confused. I actually think that Emma Vickers might not be Route 60 anymore. I think it might be one of the 18,000s. But I got confused and I can't remember now, so I'm going to skip over Emma Vickers. But anyway, Emma Vickers is on the is part of the Fred Hamer collecting. It's on the Leaves of Life, that Fred Hamer cassette. But I think that's the wrong version. So why bring it up? He asks. Then there's a Dartmoor one or a Devon one. Amy Birch, who was the mother of Jean Orchard. We've got a recording of Jean Orchard from the Orchard family singing on "Over Yonder's Hill." Does that tally with some versions, Steve? "Over Yonder's Hill" or "On Yonder Hill"?
Just having a look at the copies I've got here. Yes, Over Yonder's Hill on 11, volume 11 of The Voice of the People,
But
collected in Devon.
is that Route 60, or is it sometimes it was called "Down in
It's
the
Route
Meadow"?
60. Yeah, no, it's Route 60.
Okay, good, thank you. The expert,
It has five stanzas of Route 60.
the expert has spoken. So Gene, we got a recording of Gene Orchard because the Orchard family did an album for Veteran Records called Holsworthy Fair in 2005, and on that is Gene Orchard singing it. She learned it from her grandmother, Delia Crocker. But Jean's mother, so Delia's daughter, presumably, was Amy Birch, and she was collected by Sam Richards, Paul Wilson, and Tish Stubbs. And so, My Father's King of the Gypsies, which is Voice of the People, Volume 11, as you said, the Amy Birch recording is there of that. And the Jean Orchard recording, her daughter, is on Holsworthy Fair by Veteran. And there's an Irish one, which I wanted to double check on before we finish. Maybe it's a different Roud number. Elizabeth Cronin singing a version, and now I can't find which version it is. I'm going to have to search through them all. No,
I've got the Elizabeth Cronin book, but it won't be registered in here because
so I found it on the Roud Index. So
yeah.
there we go. Okay, so Elizabeth Cronin is singing
What's the title?
The Ale House, singing to Seamus Ennis. I'm pretty sure that is actually 18834.
Really?
Could you double check that?
Tavern in the Town. Hmm.
The Ale House.
Well, a lot of the traditional versions of Brisk Young Sailor are there is a tavern in the town, there is an ale house, So I won't go by the title.
No, okay, maybe this is the Elizabeth Cronin lyrics go. Last night being windy, I slept unsound. I dreamed my true love could not be found. I searched those green fields and mountains high, for the lad I love is a sailor boy. Oh, Johnny, Johnny, I love you well. But then there is an ale house all in this town where my love he goes in and out. In and out. That's very sorry, yeah.
The first verse is unique and the rest is Brisk Young Sailor, so you should be all right, yeah.
So should that be Route 60?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It
Okay,
depends what the rest of the stanzas are, but yeah, I mean it's a couple of the stanzas there, and that first stanza, nothing else anyway, is unique. So,
the reason he takes her, I'll tell you why, for she has got more gold than
yeah,
I.
definitely, yeah,
I
Route
wished, I
60.
wished, and I got my wish. I
Yeah,
wish my love was a little fish. I wish, I wish, I wish I was a maid again. Okay, so yeah, Elizabeth Cronin is Route 60,
yeah,
but the version she sang was labelled as the Ale House, and that came out. The recording of that is on the Folk Songs of Britain, Volume 6, came out from Cademon and Topic. That's the Sailormen and Serving Maids collection of the songs about seamen and their women folk. But anyway, so Elizabeth Cronin one's there. If anyone tracks that down, let's call things off there, shall we?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that's
definitely.
uh, that's a can of worms which we've only just scratched the surface of, I think. But that's very very interesting indeed. And yeah, thanks as ever, and thank you for this one for being willing to dive back into that can of worms again. You know,
Yeah,
your time and effort are much appreciated as always. And yes, I think we'll leave things there. So until we see you again, Steve Gardham, thank you very much indeed.
yeah. Cheers, Matt. All the best.
A huge thanks again to Steve Gardham for giving us a look at the quite complex history of the brisk young sailor. As ever, at this, the halfway point in the episode, we're going to listen to a few different versions of this song sung by traditional singers. And after having weeded out what I think are the wrong Roud numbers for certain songs, if you see what I mean, I think what we're about to hear now are all genuinely Roud 60 songs. Apologies if I've managed to get one in there that isn't 60 by accident, but we'll see how we go. What you're going to hear now is Died for Love, although it's actually Brisk King Sailor, but it's called Died for Love. Isn't this fun? Sung by Joseph Taylor, Tom Willett, and then Jeff Ling. And then we're going to hear a version called There Is a Tavern, sung by Emma Vickers. Over Yonder's Hill, sung by Amy Birch. And finally, Died for Love, sung by Emily Sparks.
I wish my baby it was born, lying smiling on his father's knee, and I was dead and in my grave and green grass growing all over me. I wish, but it's all in vain. I wish I was a maid again. But a maid again that never can be, since that young farmer said you in me.
Oh, it's down the green meadows where the poor girls they roam, gathering flowers just as they grow. She gathered her flowers and away she came, but she left the sweetest rose behind. Now there is a flower that I've heard say that never dies nor fades away. But if that flower I could only find, I'd ease my heart and torment his mind.
There is a tavern in the town, and where my true love sits himself down, and every do take a fresh girl on his knee. Oh, don't you think it is grief to me? Oh, grief, I'll tell you for why.
because she got more gold than I. For the gold it will melt and the silver will fly, and then you'll become a poor gal like I.
There is a tavern in yonder town, where my false love goes and sets him down. He pulls a strange girl upon his knee. Oh, don't you think that's a grief to me? A grief, and I'll tell you why. Because she has got more gold than I. Her gold will waste, and her beauty will blast, and then, poor girl, she'll come like me at last.
Over yonder's hill, there is an old house, where my true love goes and sits himself down, takes another fresh girl on his knee. Now don't you think that's a grief to me? A grief, a grief. I'll tell you for why. Because she has more gold than I. Gold may glitter and silver will shine, and all my sorrow will fade in time.
There was a young farmer who once courted me. He stole my heart and sweet liberty. He stole my heart with a sweet goodwill, and I must confess that I love him still. There is an alehouse in the town. My love go in and sit himself down. He takes another girl on his knee. Now don't you think that's a grief to me?
And you can find the links to those tracks and the albums they're from in the episode notes. I just want to take a couple of minutes now to tell you about our Patreon. Patreon is a way for you, the listener, to help support the podcast, as well as the support you're already doing, which is listening and hopefully subscribing. Thank you for doing that at least. But for a monthly subscription of money, we produce loads of bonus episodes that even run whilst there's no main season happening on the podcast. We mainly cover songs from elsewhere in the Roud Index, courtesy of a strand of mini-seasons called Singer's Choice. That's where I get one singer guest to come on for 3 episodes, and we cover 3 songs of their own choosing. Consequently, they are from anywhere in the Roud Index. For example, for one of our Singer's Choice mini-seasons, we had 3 songs chosen by Rachel McShane, and the songs were Roud 379, Green Broom, Roud 3448, Plume and Laddies, and Roud 339, which is Child Ballad 219, The Gardener. We also produce episodes looking at other aspects of folk songs and folk song collecting in the form of spotlight episodes. So, for example, Paul Wilson and Marilyn Tucker came on to do a region spotlight episode on song collecting work in Devon, and Katie Ryder came on to do a collector spotlight episode looking at the life and song collecting work of Frank Kidson. This week on Patreon, we're back with our next singer spotlight on the life of traditional singer Marina Russell, with guests Nick and Mally Dow. If you feel so moved to support the podcast financially, then please do head on over to patreon.com/intheroud. That's patreon.com/intheroud patreon.com/intheroud and sign up for either £5 or £10 a month and receive regular bonus content. On to the second half of this episode. To chat about the Brisk Young Sailor and his version of the song called The Alehouse, I was joined by singer, musician, and my Culverake colleague, Seb Stone. Well, hello and a big welcome to In the Roud, Seb Stone. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hello, you sound way too chipper.
Well, I've just been on tour with you, Matt. Of course I'm chipper.
Oh, of course, yes. Being in my company for 4 days is bound to make anyone really cheerful, isn't it? How are you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, just knackered. Yeah, but good.
Yes.
Good. Looking forward to this.
Yep. Anyone's listening to this on the day this episode goes out. We're recording this the previous Friday, so the hello from the 24th of April. And yes, I saw you yesterday, and the day before, and the day before, and the day before, in person. We've just done a run of Culverake gigs, which have been very good. We did last Monday was Herger Folk Club in Harrow, North London. Tuesday was Dartwood Folk Club, and then Wednesday was Faversham Folk Club. And then we drove home on Thursday.
Yeah. To be fair, we could have done this in the car.
Yeah, except all the noise of the car, and
Would have been a good use of, the 4-hour drive up from Faversham. Anyway.
probably.
Yeah.
But yes, so we have seen each other every day this week, which is fun. Yes, it's good to have you on the podcast. Yeah, I was wondering when I was going to get to you because everyone will get their turn eventually because there were so many songs. But in terms of Culverake, Lizzie was on almost straight out of the gate with the podcast at episode 3 of season 1.
Yeah, and I remember, even before we'd started the podcast, you were talking about doing it for a few months, and I think I'm going to do this project, and bouncing ideas off me and practicing your podcasting skills, your info dumping on me. So that's good. It's good to finally be here. Yeah.
Yeah. So looked ahead at what was coming up over the next sort of 100 to 300 songs, and here we are at number 60.
Yes. Yeah. It's good to be here.
Yeah, that's good. Lovely. So, but before we get into the song itself, or multiple songs, as we heard from Steve Gardham earlier, it's kind of fried my brain a bit, all the different Roud numbers and how they all link or don't link to Roud 60. Before we get into that, give us a bit of Seb Stone history and your musical upbringing and how you came to folk music and all that sort of thing.
All right. Well, I feel like I came to folk music quite late. I was always sort of interested in it. My mum had a couple of Irish trad albums in the house when I was growing up, and a tin whistle, which I sort of blew on a bit. And then I always enjoyed doing music, so I was in like choirs and stuff when I was in school. And my singing teacher, I had singing lessons at school. She was quite into folk songs, so sent me lots of folk songs to learn, and sent me to the local carol singing things when I was about 14, I think. Started doing that. And so in Derbyshire, where I grew up, we've got all our local traditional carols, which Ian Russell has been leading for the last however many years. So that was a good kind of gateway in. But then I was still doing lots of choral singing all the way through like my secondary school and through A levels. And I was in the Halle Youth Choir and kinder choirs around here as well. And then I went to do music at uni. I studied history and music at Royal Holloway in London, and it was then lockdown happened, and it was only kind of in lockdown when I was losing my mind and was like, I've got to just get back to things I enjoy. What do I enjoy doing? Oh yeah, that folk music thing was fun, wasn't it? That I was sort of playing whistle and singing odd songs. So I started playing a lot. I started playing more whistle then, and I'd just stick on a playlist of Irish trad and see what I could pick up. And by the end of lockdown, I got quite a few tunes down and started going to the odd session in London, and and also just doing odd songs I'd learnt at like house parties and things. I remember a friend of mine always got me to sing "Good Ale" from the Copper Family at house parties as a drinking song, and the Barley Mow as well was another one. But yes, yeah, and then after uni, I went to a couple of folk festivals and moved back up to Sheffield or up to the Peak District and started going to sessions in Sheffield. And yeah, haven't really looked back since. And that was 4 years ago. I finished uni. So yeah, doing. I'm now quite busy with just all things trad in Sheffield and outside of it. Yeah,
Indeed. Yeah, and and then I met you at the house concert, wasn't it? It was a live at Sam's.
it was live at Sam's. You and George it was your second gig ever, I think, or something.
Right, yeah, because I was trying to think if it was the Granny's Attic house concert live at Sam's or whether it was me and George. You had been to see a Granny's Attic gig and subsequently came to live at Sam's that George and I did as our duo because it was George.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And, and George chatting to you afterwards.
I'd met George. Funnily enough, I'd met George when I was about. I must have been about 12, 13, something like that. Because Granny's Attic, when they just got started, they were busking at some country day that I happened to be at in Dorset.
Okay.
And they were busking. We were having our lunch not far away, and then we went and bought their CD, Better Weather, which nobody knows exists.
And I'm pretty sure George wants people to forget about.
Yes, yeah, but I'm going to plug it on here anyway, just to annoy him. Well, because I learnt, like, I don't know, some of my first folk songs from that CD as well.
That's right.
I guess, like, growing up around here as well, I went to Hope Valley College, which seems to have been, like, this place that a lot of folk musicians have gone through. Bella Hardy went there, Anna and Rowan Ryangens went there, Robin Beatty went there from the old dance school. So there was this, like, looking at the alumni of that music department was like, oh, there's this person in the folk scene and this person in the folk scene. And we used to go and see them whenever there were gigs around here. Like, I remember seeing Lady Masery, who the last time I saw them was in Firth Hall and it was sold out. So that's like a big gig. But I remember seeing them in Great Longston Village Hall, where we were sat, less than 2 meters from them.
Yeah, I remember that, going to see them at my local folk club in Sussex, and it was like, up close and personal.
Yeah,
with Lady Masery.
Yeah, yeah, and then like Bella, who lives in Edale, used to come and do like the odd workshop with us at school, and I seem to remember singing the Rocky Road to Dublin at her 30th birthday do in the Ramblers in Edale, and then I didn't see her for another 10 years until a couple of years ago. But nice. yeah, and I guess since then, Culverick happened. I released an album in 2024. And it's all Sheffield's just a really good place to be for folk music. Like, there's lots of sings, lots of gigs to go to, lots of sessions. I run 3 sessions a week in Sheffield now when I'm not gigging in other places and at festivals and stuff. Yeah, it's all very busy.
Yes, yeah, I met you at that house concert with George, and then just saw you around Sheffield a lot, I suppose, at sessions and things and whatever.
Yeah, I think that was definitely. It was in my sort of first few months of being in Sheffield in the folk scene, and like, I was just throwing myself into everything because I hadn't had that growing up. I didn't grow up in like a folky family or anything, and we'd just come out of lockdown like the year before. So I was still like, oh my God, I've got to get in on this now, quick. Everything felt very precious then.
Yeah, and then we formed Culverick and have been singing loud harmonies ever since.
Yeah,
which is very loud.
It is very loud, yes,
and fun, as we have been doing last week. Moving on to this song then. So this is a song that's on your debut album, Young Tamlin's Away. How did you come across this song? Were you... Because some people, when they've spoken to me about this, they found the particular song they're talking about because they were searching specifically for it, or they were searching for a version of it, or they were just needed a track to go on the album and that happened to fill it, or you just happened upon it one day? What's the story, Seb Stone? That doesn't rhyme, but it'll have to do.
So I came across this. This is one I came across actually before I was in the folk scene, and like I didn't really know how to look for songs at that time, and it just ended up on my album because I liked it, and it was one that I hadn't heard that much in other places, or certainly I hadn't heard this version in other places. We were talking earlier about the mainly Norfolk page list, and everybody's recorded a version of this. As was covered in the history part of the episode, this was a really widespread song. You know, there are versions of this from everywhere, and there are lots of floating verses in this that pop up in other places. And I think part of the reason this jumped out at me was because I recognised at least two of the verses from songs I'd heard before. I think both of them are from Lady Maisery, actually. There's There Is an Ale House, which is the first verse that I sing on the album version.
Oh yeah.
There Is an Ale House Where My Love Goes is very similar to There Is a Dance Hall in Maradag Where My Love Goes Almost Every Night, which is in I Know My Love.
That's right, which is actually Roud 18835.
Yes.
Technically now, yeah. After all this stuff that's been going on with Gardham.
I think we're doing 2 episodes in one, really, aren't we? Yeah.
About 10 episodes in one, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So I recognise that that's very similar to that.
Yeah.
And then the last verse I sing is I wish in vain, I wish I wasn't made again, which I recognised from the Colour Amber, again, which I knew from Lady Maisery. But yeah, and I came across this song. It was when I was at university, and I was looking on I've always been really interested in like where songs come from, like, and where, like, do songs have a particular connection to a place? And I was looking on the Vaughan Williams Memorial Library map tool, back in lockdown. This would have been when I was at uni. Royal Holloway is just sort of west of London, near Windsor, and I was looking sort of around there, and in Ashford, which is one of the stops on the way into London, one of the train stops, there's there was like a little icon, and I clicked on it, and it was from a guy called Tom Willett. This was collected by Ken Stubbs in 1962, if my memory serves me correctly. And there was this little recording, and so I learnt it from that, and it's just the 4 verses that he sings in that recording, which I think, if I get Paul Mainly Norfolk up here, Tom Willett. So this is the last 4 verses of the version that Tom Willett sings on the recording, The Roving Journeyman from the Willett family, in which he sings 6 verses. I reckon it's just because Ken Stubbs put the tape recorder on after 2 verses or something like that. Like, right. It does seem to come in very suddenly. Like, anyway.
Yes, it's not a usual starting verse.
No, it's not. And I only realised
if anything can be called usual with this one, we don't know, but
yeah.
It does start with it's down the green meadows where the poor girls they roam.
Yeah. Which is all lovely imagery and stuff, but yeah, I just wasn't aware of it. I didn't know that recording existed until after I'd recorded it for my album.
Yeah.
And so I just learnt those 4 verses because I was interested in a song, like having a song that came from that area where I was living at the time, and a song, I don't know. It's always I could have just gone through a breakup when I found this song, so I think I might have been like, "Oh my god, it's a song about breakups." I think it's always a song that like the sentiment expressed here is going to be relevant as long as people exist. It probably always has been, always will be. That's probably why it was so widespread and popular, is that this sentiment is going to be so relatable to anyone from any period. I think that was part of what drew me to this. Also, just the melody's lovely. We were saying earlier about it's very similar to other versions, to the version of Died for Love that Gordon Hall had, which you think is the other Roud number as well.
Yeah, that's actually Died for Love 18828, the Gordon Hall. I'm pretty sure that's what it should be.
Yeah, it's very, very similar to this tune, and very similar to the Willow Tree, which May Bradley had as well.
That's the one that I mentioned on the other half, with that Eliza Carthy ended up singing on Jules Holland. So
Yes,
coming up some Roud numbers that have been sung on Jules Holland. I should make a spreadsheet of Roud numbers that have been sung on Jules Holland.
Man, how do you have enough Google storage to have enough all these spreadsheets?
Because all the spreadsheets are on external hard drives. They're not on Google Drive. They're on external hard drives. I've got a 2 terabyte, a 1 terabyte, and a 4 terabyte external hard drive.
Yeah. No, anyway, so I found it like that, and I remember I think I hadn't heard it anywhere until I sang at Lewis Folk Club.
This is the Lewis Saturday Folk Club.
Lewis Saturday Folk Club, yeah. And Will Duke was there, and he went up and did a floor spot and sang almost this song. It's very, very close. And it's the version that he sang with your dad, actually, isn't it, I think?
It is. I wasn't going to bring that up, but yes, it's... maybe I should have done. But yeah, Dan Quinn and Will Duke, this is almost recommended listening. My dad and Will Duke used to sing together in the sort of the 90s and until about 2004, I think. And they did a couple of albums called Wild Boys and Scanned. Scanned being a tribute to Scan Tester, the Sussex concertina player. And on there is Died for Love, which is mostly the Willett family, but it started for Dan and Will. It started out as a snippet from a Cambridgeshire traveller called Frank O'Connor, and if you search for that on the Roud Index specifically, as I did that this morning, if you type in just Frank O'Connor and search as a performer, the only entry in the entire Roud Index is one entry for the song "Died for Love" from a cassette of Cambridgeshire stuff. And so I think it's a fragment within this song of fragments. And and then Dad and Will embellished it, said with some words from the Willett family. So yeah, it's very, very... I imagine Will singing that. It's just very similar to the Willett because it is a lot of the same words as the Willett family. Yeah.
Well, I did ask... I remember I asked Will Duke that night. I was like, "Oh, did you learn that from Tom Willett?" Yeah. And he must have said, "Oh, I learnt it from Frank O'Connor." Yeah. But then was like, all of these travellers learnt a lot of their songs from each other and from similar sources.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's very interesting. But yeah, there's the recording that I don't know where the album of the Willett family was recorded, but
I can tell
recording. Oh, go on.
Because Main Norfolk, so helpful.
The Encyclopedia of Trance.
It is. We love you, Reinhardt. Recorded by Bill Leader and Paul Carter in the singer's home on a caravan site near Ashford in Middlesex, or Ashford in Kent, in 1962.
Oh well, that would have been the same year, and the same place then, because that's Ashford in Middlesex that Ken Stubbs recorded this from Tom Willett. As that recording that I learnt it from.
Yes, I'm just trying to look up something. Maths is not my strong suit. Tom Willett was born. This is on the quick arithmetic using a iPhone calculator. He died in 1966, and if you minus his birth date, 1878, he was 88 years old when he died, and that was 4 years after he was recorded. So he would have been 84 when he was recorded singing on that LP.
Yeah, that tracks.
And then his sons, Chris and Ben, are the other two. They're born in 1914 and 1909, respectively. Chris Willett died in 2004. He was 90. It's quite recently for a traditional singer.
Yeah.
But that LP, The Roving Journeymen, English Traditional Songs Sung by Traditional Singers, is Topic Records 1962. It's an extraordinary piece of work, that LP. It's very important because I think I'm right in saying that it's the first LP Topic released of English trad stuff. Because A.L. Lloyd had done other trad releases before that for Topic, but it had been his folk songs of Bulgaria, folk songs from Turkey, folk songs from Argentina, or whatever. He did a whole series of those world ones,
Yeah.
and they never did like an England one. And then suddenly, Topic came out with this one, and it's effectively it's what set John Kirkpatrick off on his lifelong
Oh, is it?
folk
I
world.
didn't
Yeah,
know
he
that.
heard this and it blew him away. He talked about this quite a lot on our Lord Bateman episode 2 seasons ago, Round 40, saying that he was a bit sort of he was not particularly enamoured by the way people were singing in folk clubs at the time. It's all quite a bit fast. Didn't seem much feeling in it, and it was all I don't know. He didn't like it basically, and then he heard Tom Willett, effectively. I mean, the other two as well, but particularly Tom Willett on this LP, and he said he just he sang things really slowly with more feeling than John had ever heard anyone sing anything in their entire lives.
Yeah.
And he basically, over the course of John's career, he's learnt and recorded most things that are on that Willett thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic.
I mean,
record.
he sings Lord Bateman, still does. Riding Down to Portsmouth has been a solo thing of his for ages. The Roving Journeyman ended up on a Brass Monkey album. We listened to that track only yesterday in the car, didn't we?
Yes, but yesterday. Yeah.
But yesterday, and the other ones, have all turned up. I think Game of Cards he might have sung that. I think he sang that with Sue Harris. So he's been mining that LP for the last 60 years. Because it's wall to wall bangers.
Yeah.
And and on the main
it is.
Norfolk page for the web for that album is a quote, or at least a paragraph of a review of the LP from the time of release or just after it, September 1963. Review from Gramophone. I assume that's a magazine called Gramophone. September 1963. They briefly compared it to an album that came out earlier that year called The Iron Muse, a panorama of industrial folk music arranged by A.L. Lloyd, with Anne Briggs, Bob Davenport, Ray Fisher, Louis Killen, and lots of other people. And the review says, if the Iron Muse deals with the worlds of industry, the Roving Journeyman, the work of the Willett family, moves out into the countryside, presenting unaccompanied singing by 3 members of a gypsy family. It goes into it's that sort of thing. I don't know whether this is a good thing or not. He says, the fact that the songs are all unaccompanied and they were recorded in Tom Willett's home may suggest that this is an LP for the specialist, as opposed to anyone else. I think this is probably true, says the reviewer, who is telling us that what he thinks is true is true. The collector who just wants to hear good folk songs. So for the specialist, the collector who just wants to hear good folk songs well sung is likely to find this record a trifle austere. For the enthusiast, however, it is of enormous interest. So, I mean, we are specialists, I suppose. So, but nevertheless, it's not austere in the slightest.
No, it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're on about.
I know John Kirkpatrick thinks this is one of the most exciting albums ever made.
Yeah. If John thinks that, then I can think that. That's fine.
But the Tom Willett recording has been influential to a lot of people. As has the Joseph Taylor one, the 1908 by Percy Granger on a wax cylinder. A lot of people sung that one as well. So it is a really, really good song. It's just, it's a massive can of worms. If you want to delve into the whole, like, what round number is it, and how it separates from the songs that Steve Gardham mentioned earlier, the one he calls Died for Love, the one called Deep in Love, which is one that I used to sing, which I'm tempted to bring it back. I sang a bit of that in the History Half with Steve. The Rambling Boy, The Irish Boy, Blue-Eyed Boy, Willow Tree. The Butcher Boy, Jersey City, In Sheffield Park, which is now back at around 860. And There Is Tavern in the Town, and I Know My Love. And it's just, What a can of worms.
A big family of songs, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so we couldn't really do, like, in the first half, couldn't really do much of, like, what's the origin of this one? Because which one is the origin? For a start,
Yeah.
But yeah, but for you, it's Tom Willett and sort of hearing other verses elsewhere. And then, so it's on your album, so your first album. There is no second album yet. Your debut album, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So I recorded this. We recorded it back end of 2023. Released it in March 2024. I recorded it with Ray Cunningham playing Melodian on it, and he's a lovely player. And yeah, if you want to hear him play, then go listen to that track. It's also got it's got the last verse after we finished playing it. It's got the last verse of Tom Willett singing it on that track, which I thought would be a nice idea. And then it turned out he was singing it bang in the same key as we were. It's bang in D major.
Yeah.
It was bang in the same key as we were doing it in. And then me and Rowan Piggott recorded it, and Rowan was like, well, I think we've got to just tag it on the end, haven't we? Just that last verse. And you can see kind of the speed difference that, I sing it as it's not a fast song, but compared with the way Tom Willett sings it, I did sing it like fairly fast. I tend to just sing it unaccompanied because I don't bring Ray to gigs with me to just accompany me on that song. But yeah, when I do sing it, it's just unaccompanied. It's a lovely tune. Yeah. I think it was probably one of the first songs that I learned like from a traditional singer, from like a source recording, quote unquote. Yeah, and I think that was kind of why that was one of the reasons I was keen to include it on the album. But yeah, it's there. Go check it out.
Yes, thanks. Absolutely. Also, because it's got me on it, and so that's that's a worth.
The album does have you on it, indeed.
That's worth hearing. It's technically the first ever like recording of Culverake. Yeah. In a way, because that's the song "Whitby Lad" from Mike Waterson, and we're all singing the choruses, except it's you singing the whole thing, and the first chorus is you with me and Lizzie doing the harmonies, and then everyone else comes in gradually on other harmonies and choruses with Rosie Hodgson, George Sansom, John Doran, and Janice Byrne. So that's an extremely good company to be involved with. If we could find one festival where we're all at, then we'd
have to do that.
We could actually recreate it.
Yeah. And that's track 8, and this is track 9 of the album.
Yeah, so, I think Granny's Attica at Warwick this year, and we're at Warwick, so get George up. And if John and Janice are there, get them up. And I don't know about the Wilderness Yet. See if Wilderness Yet are there as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be something we're all.
So you can recreate that.
Hopefully to add some bass notes as well.
So you can recreate that live.
Funny, yeah. I thought about that for a while.
but yeah, so I'm on that, and then the Ale House is the next track 9, and that's an album called Young Tamlin's Away, because of your silly idea to put Mike Waterson's Tamlin in the middle of it.
Yeah,
silly idea.
I think that was a good idea.
Yeah, good.
I'll stand by that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that was like a lot of those songs. To be fair, I learned when I was sort of 17 or 18.
Yeah.
And so by the time I recorded them when I was, how old was I? 22? 22. They were like solidly in there, and I've spent the last 2 years trying to learn other songs to also be solidly in there, and it's not always worked out. But yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, and sort of plug, there should be a little recording or something coming out in the autumn from me, so keep an eye for that.
Ooh. Yeah, you're quicker than I am with anything. But yeah, hopefully there'll be another album for me and George in like a year and a half's time or something. We're quite slow. Ooh, indeed.
Yeah, very good.
Lovely. So, recommended listening, because we've recommended you, because it's on your album, which according to Main Norfolk, it's the most recent recording of this song ever.
I think it is, but it also depends on what's on Round's radar, doesn't it?
Yeah, but
yes, I think it. I mean, it's only 2 years ago I released that, so yeah.
2 years ago, it's not as common as some songs like the Barbara Allen episode with Vic Gammon we did earlier this season. It's like because we did. I mean, this is end of April now. We did that like at the beginning of March, we recorded it at the end of February, I think, that episode. And Vic said, this song is so popular on the trad side, but also on the revival side. I wouldn't be surprised if someone's recorded it this year already. And I went on Main Norfolk, and there were 2 albums released at the beginning of 2026 that had Barbara Allen on it.
That's crazy.
It's,
Yeah,
it's that's such a popular song.
yeah,
Always
that
has
doesn't
been.
surprise me. Yeah,
Which is bad.
yeah. No, that doesn't surprise me at all. No, it's mad. So I mean, my theory is that this one is very. I think this one was very popular in the 19th century.
Yeah.
And so was collected a lot. So there are a lot of versions of this. And as we know, like obviously we've had a headache trying to find out which song is actually which.
Yeah.
So there's like, yeah, I think that's probably why there's so many recordings of this. I'm not sure if there was just one version of this, it would be so popular. But I think because there are so many tunes and so many different settings of this that I think everyone finds something that they like in this in some version of this song, don't they?
Absolutely. I mean, I always do, because I'm still in the process of doing it because it's a long project, but I'm doing over the years I've basically made digital copies of my entire music collection so that it's all on my phone for listening in the car and whatever. And just so I've got, everything backed up in case I lose the physical media. But consequently, what I can do in iTunes, it's not called iTunes anymore, Apple Music, is that every time I come to an episode of the podcast, I create a playlist, and it's all the songs for that Roud number in the playlist so that I can find them when I come to the recommendations bits. So, but effectively, I am Roud indexing my own music collection as I go through the podcast and the Patreon, which is quite amusing. And there was
What a nerd.
What a nerd. Well, Nancy Kerr thought it was awesome, so that's fine with me.
Ah, fair enough.
I remember, just a side note, Nancy wasn't involved, but she was there. I did a live episode last September in Stowmarket in Suffolk for the Traditional Music Day, and we were doing the episode on John Barleycorn, and Nancy was booked to do solo stuff. She was there anyway. But I was sort of prepping for that, and I picked her up at a train station about an hour's drive from Suffolk, and we drove there, and I said, I'm sorry, Nancy, I apologise for this, but for the next hour, we're going to have to listen to my John Barleycorn playlist. I have to get all these versions in my head to try and just get myself in the zone of John Barleycorn. And she went, oh yeah, awesome, that's great, let's do it. That's absolutely fantastic. And we did spend an hour listening to my John Barleycorn playlist. How long does it last? Let me find it. It's around 164. I've got 2.5 hours of recordings of John Barleycorn.
Jesus Christ.
39 different recordings across trad and revival I've got.
And I think that's probably another one that's very, very popular as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, some of them very popular, like Raggle Taggle Gypsies, Round 1, my playlist of all the recordings I've got of that, trad and revival, 54 songs, almost 3.5 hours of Raggle Gypsies. But then some, like for example, Gil Brenton, Round 22, the only recording, I've only got one recording of it. But it lasts 13 minutes because it's Nancy Kerr singing it on the new Magpie Ark LP. But then, and some of the ones like Child Water or Fair Janet, all I've got is, Peggy Seeger. But anyway, and then the Brisk Young Sailor, I've only got 29 recordings of this, so 1 hour and 16 minutes worth. It was about 3 times that long, and then I removed all the ones that aren't actually Roud 60 anymore. Mm-hmm. So it was a lot longer. Yeah. But nevertheless, it's a good spread of people and versions, because as we said, there's so many different versions. Who would you, if we're doing recommended listening for the folk revival, i.e., I guess 1962 to present, who would you point people towards?
I mean, if we're including 1962 or that, I'd still point people towards Tom Willett. That version is great, even though that's a traditional
trad,
version.
But it is.
We'll go on to the revival stuff now.
So I said 1962 because it's Tom Willett. Actually, A.L. Lloyd recorded it in 1956. So I guess the folk revival means, when people started making commercial albums of traditional singers. You know, there's no clear cut line, but yeah.
Yeah. Shirley Collins,
Oh,
of course.
amazing.
We stand Shirley Collins in this house.
We do. I've just started reading her All in the Downs book.
Oh, it's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good. I read it a couple of summers ago.
I feel awful for having not read any of them, and I'm like I'm closely linked to Shirley in a few ways, not by blood, but you know, just I've known her a long time, and so for a few reasons, and yeah, I've slightly ashamed of myself that I'd never read any of her books. So
I'd really recommend her books. Like, she writes so eloquently and so succinctly. She's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely her All on the Downs. I remember reading that sat in Regent's Park when I'd been like at Cecil Sharp House for the day. Just went out to stay in London for a few days between gigs or that sort of thing. I'd been at Cecil Sharp House for the day and then just like sat in Regent's Park in the sun in the evening reading that. It was good times.
Yeah. But yes, Shirley Collins sang "Died for Love." It's her 1960 album called "False True Lovers," and that's a very early one. I've got it on LP, nice pink cover, from Folkways Records. False True Lovers, and the subtitle is a collection of British love songs about love. That seems a bit sort of pointless, doesn't it? A collection of British folks' love songs about love. Adapted and sung by Shirley Elizabeth Collins of Sussex, England, with guitar and 5-string banjo accompaniment by John Hasted, Ralph Rinsler, Guy Carawan, and Miss Collins, with notes by Alan Lomax. Shirley Elizabeth Collins always makes me laugh because the problem is it's a joke that no one will get unless I explain it, and it might take too long to explain it. Next,
there's a recording of this by Martin Carthy, of course.
Hurrah! I think he's just singing the Joseph Taylor one, as far as I can tell, and that's unaccompanied, but it's on his album with Swarbrick called Prince Heathen, 1969, on Fontana Records, and then subsequently on Topic. I'm pretty sure on my shelf is a Fontana release of it rather than Topic release. So.
There's a Jim McGean and Johnny Collins one as well. Recording of this.
Jim McGean. We had Jim McGean on the Patreon for, what was it? Back early last year, 2025. He did the history of Roll the Old Chariot, Drop of Nelson's Blood, the shanty for us.
Oh, very good. Yeah. So,
love hearing him sing stuff, and he knows his stuff. He knows his history.
He does know his stuff. He does know his stuff. I remember I came across him before I'd come across anyone else in the folk scene, really, because I did my undergrad dissertation on sea shanties. Looking back, it was a rubbish piece of work, but I did reference Jim McGean quite a lot because he's written the odd little paper or article about.
And he said it's a Royal Navy version of a very old English ballad, whatever that means.
Yes.
1979 album called "Make the Rafters Roar" on the label called Sweet Folk and Country. And there's a picture of him. He looks nothing like that anymore.
Bless him. There's a Gordon Hall recording here, but I guess that's traditional.
Yeah, but Gordon Hall. Woo! Woo! Do you have a few minutes to discuss our Lord and Saviour, Gordon Hall?
I've heard enough about Gordon Hall this time.
Yeah, I know. Honestly. I do a lot about Gordon.
I've heard a good 10 minutes every night.
The same 10 minutes every night.
There were a couple of new bits, actually, you introduced. Me and Lizzie had to look at each other and be like, oh, this bit's new. I can't remember what it was.
No, I have no idea either.
All right. Will Duke and Dan Quinn, we've already discussed.
Yeah. That's a 2001 album called Scanned.
Mm-hmm. Jim Causley.
I had some fun with looking up the Jim Causley one this morning. Fun in air quotes. Because he sings one called Yonder's Hill, brackets Blind Beatles, which is a bit of a confusing two titles. He got it from Queen Caroline Hughes, and she called it Blind Beatles. Nothing about Yonder's Hill. But Yonder's Hill is the title that Amy Birch sang, and her daughter Jean Orchard, and they're from Devon, which is where Jim Causley is from, and I'm certain he must have heard Amy Birch singing this, which is why he thinks it's called Yonder's Hill. But he learned it from Caroline Hughes, so it's called Blind Beatles. You know, that's fun. But that's Jim's first album, 2005. Fruits of the Earth, it's called, on Wild Goose Records.
Yeah, I think I think Viv Legg had also heard it from Amy Birch as well. She sang it on the 2006 album Romany Roots.
Yeah, that's right, I think. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I'll highlight a few. We've got 3 more. We've got one sung by Hannah James. She was in a duo with Hannah James. She was in a duo with Sam Sweeney for a couple of albums in the noughties. Their first CD was called Catches and Glees. That's the name of a tune on it. But track 5 is Died for Love, and I'm pretty sure she's singing the Joseph Taylor one again. I'm pretty sure that's what she's singing there. That's from 2009. Alice Jones, the fabulous Alice Jones. Woo! Alice Jones recorded this on an album in 2014 in a duo with Pete Coe, the legendary Pete Coe. They did a whole album of, as I say, celebrating the legacy of the Yorkshire song collector, as in song collector from Yorkshire, Frank Kidson, and that was an album called The Search for Five Finger Frank. And on there is Alice, on her own, unaccompanied, singing My True Love Once He Courted Me. And that's a version that Frank Kidson published in his 1891 book, Traditional Tunes, lyrics from a Mr. Halliday of Newtondale in North Yorkshire. And one more, a slightly odd one, I'll recommend to finish. This came up on our Patreon a couple of months ago. Emily Portman sings this on her duo album with Rob Harbron, the album called Time Was Away, from 2022, and they sing a song called Borstal Boy. And this was collected in Kent, and so Andy Turner spoke about this on the Patreon when we did the Region Spotlight episode on song collecting in Kent. Because it was the words that Emily Portman sing of Borstal Boy were written as graffiti on a toilet wall in a youth centre in Maidstone, and in a youth centre called the Big Hut in the on the Mangravette housing estate in Maidstone in Kent. The graffiti was, this is all Emily's sleeve notes now, this graffiti was noticed and photographed by folk song collector Simon Evans and included in the EFDSS Root and Branch project.
Maybe we should bring back graffitiing trad words in toilets. Like I might take a Sharpie.
Yeah, we'll start doing it. We'll start doing it. I'll write out the words to Gordon Hall's Lord Beckett. I'll be quite a while in there.
Yeah, do you think it'll take the same amount of time? You'll have to convey how slow it has to be sung through the writing. You'll have to write it like really big or spread out.
What's the Italian word for slow? Like not ritardando, but what is it? And it's not pianissimo. What's the slow one?
Row or rit that they write above on music.
Yeah.
Rallantanda.
But that's just like the slow down at the end, not necessarily the whole thing to be sung slowly.
Oh, andante.
Andante, thank you. I couldn't realize. I'd like my pasta cooked andante, please. That's al dente. It's not andante. Yeah, you should write andante at the top. And andante to the nth degree. Anyway, the graffiti is an adaptation of the traditional song Died for Love, Borstal Boy referring to the local youth detention centres. A lot of older generations will know, Borstal being kind of a name for youth detention centres. And Emily set those words to her favourite Died for Love melody from Joseph Taylor. So, it's that one again. With young male offenders still being amongst the most at risk of taking their own lives, it seems that this song is as relevant now as it ever has been. Quite right too. As you said earlier, it's lots of things. This is a very relatable song for a lot of people. Heartbreak and everything, and also what Emily just said about young male offenders. So that's only a handful of versions. You know, if you look at the main North page, it's awash with versions. So we'll leave things there. And I didn't say at the beginning that this is your first time in the Roud, but it is your first time in the Roud, but you have been on the Patreon before. We have done. If anyone wants to hear me and Seb discussing, I can't remember the Roud number, but the Sheffield Carol, the Star of Bethlehem, in our
Or the
2014.
Fuller Carol Marshall.
Fuller Carol Marshall and Confidence was the other Derbyshire one, wasn't it? That's a much higher Roud number, and we covered that in our 2024 Carol season. So your second time
Yeah,
in the Roud sphere, but your first time.
Yeah, and if you want to hear a recording of Marshall, then you can check out mine and Sam Day's Carols album of Fulo Carols, which we recorded last Christmas.
I assume that's available on Camp Band Bandcamp.
Camp Band Bandcamp. Yes.
Camp Band's what you wear around your waist, isn't it? Thank you. I'm here all night. That's what my brain's working now. Like Camp Band. So I assume that always plugs for stuff. Your album and the Fulo Carols album will be on Bandcamp.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
As is our Cold Rake CD and LP, which is very exciting. And this goes out on Wednesday, 29th of April. So from the 29th of April, what have you got coming up work-wise? Where can people see you?
Well, people can see us at the Welly Folk Club on the 30th of April.
Next day, yeah.
Then at Upton Folk Festival, I'll be there on the 1st, playing on my own, and then 2nd and 3rd with Culverake. It's a fairly busy summer.
And there's lots of Culverake gigs for a start. There's lots of us too.
There's lots of Culverake gigs, yeah. There's, let me see. I live my whole life on Google Calendar these days. Lots of Culverake gigs, which I'll not say all of them because there's loads. I don't know, I'll be about a lot. I'll be about at like Sidmouth doing a few bits, running things. I'm mainly with Culverake over the summer.
Yeah. And we might as well point out the announcements out there now. Culverake, we are stopping isn't the right word, but it's sort of taking an extended break where we don't know where the end of the break is.
Yes.
And so this summer is kind of it for a while. Lots of festivals over the summer, but to plug the big gig at the end, Thursday, 17th of September, we'll be doing effectively live at Sam's in Sheffield, but not in Sam's house. We'll be at St Andrew's Psalter Church in Sheffield for a big acoustic gig in a lovely church. So tickets are available now from Live at Sam's.
It's a good spot. It's like 5-minute walk from my house, which is very convenient. And then in October I'll be going on tour, releasing my next album, which is in the works at the moment.
Exciting stuff.
I've no idea what it's called. Vague ideas what's on there.
You could follow Martin Carthy and call it Seb Stone's second album.
Genuinely, the tricky second album is a working title at the minute.
Yeah.
Because I've no idea. But see you on the road.
Indeed, yes. There's social medias and all sorts. Instagram's probably best place to find you, isn't it?
Yeah, Instagram's good for me. I have Facebook, but I don't use it a lot. Instagram's a good bet. It's the one I'm on. I'm on TikTok as well, as much as I hate
good grief.
Yeah, I mean, I hate them all. Just email me if you want to get in touch, I guess.
Indeed. Lovely stuff. And thanks for coming on and chatting about this song and other things. Until we see you again, Seb Stone, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. Goodbye. It's down the green meadow where the poor girls they roam, are gathering flowers just as they grow. She gathered her flowers and away she came, but she left the sweetest rose behind. There is a flower that I've heard say that never dies nor fades away. But if that flower I could only find, it'd ease my heart and torment his mind.
There is an alehouse where my love goes, and sits himself down. He takes a stranger on his knee. Now don't you think that's a grief to me? A grief, and I'll tell you for why. Because she has more gold than I, but gold will glitter and silver will fly, and in a short time she'll be as poor as I. My love, he is tall and handsome too. My love, he is tall and slender too, but carries two hearts in the room of one. Won't he be a rogue when I'm dead and gone? Go dig my grave, both wide and deep, a marble stone at my head and feet, and in the middle a turtle dove, to show the world I died for love. I wish, oh I wish in vain. I wish I were a maid again, but a maid again I'll never more be, till the apples grow on an orange tree.
That was Seb Stone singing The Alehouse. And that brings us to the end of the episode and indeed the season. What did you think? What are your thoughts on this song or any song we've covered so far? Maybe with this one, maybe you thought you were actually singing Roud 60 when it turns out you were singing Roud 18,828. Who'd have thought? Does anyone care? Who cares? I don't know. I'd love to hear from you nonetheless. If you'd like to get in touch with me, feel free to drop me an email at intheroud@singyonder.co.uk or visit the podcast on various social media platforms. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/intheroudpod. Our Instagram and Threads handle is intheroudpod, and our Blue Sky handle is at intheroud. If you are enjoying the podcast, I would very much appreciate it if you would give us a little rating and review on wherever you get your podcasts from. That really helps the podcast to reach a wider audience and to ride that lovely algorithm wave. In the Roud is a media partner of Veteran, the traditional music label. This week's song is included on 5 of their releases. It's on Stepping It Out Again, where it's sung by David Savage, Many's a Good Horseman, where it's sung by Emily Sparks, The Fox and the Hare, where it's sung by Stan Walters, Holsworthy Fair, where it's sung by Gene Orchard, and Romany Roots, where it's sung by Viv Legg. You can find all of these albums and more on their website, veteran.co.uk. One last huge thanks to this week's guests, but also to everyone who's contributed and been involved in this current season of the podcast. On the history side, we've had Brian Peters, David Atkinson, Sandra Kerr, Vic Gammon, Steve Roud and Steve Gardham. And on the singer side, we've had Nick Dow, Frankie Armstrong, John Bowden, Nancy Kerr, Jackie Oates, Ellen Mitchell, Brian Peters, Nick Caffrey, Frankie Archer and Seb Stone. I'm so honoured that they all agreed to come on and devote their energy, time and research to this mad project of mine. And that's it for the current season, Season 6. However, there will be a bonus episode next week. I will be interviewing the singer Ollie Steadman about his 2025 project, 365 Days of Folk. And after that, Ollie will be appearing in the Patreon for a 3-episode Singer's Choice mini-season to have a deep dive into 3 songs chosen by him. But after next week's bonus episode, we'll have 6 weeks off. No episodes for 6 weeks. Marvellous. Although, there might be a bonus episode in the middle of that somewhere. There are plans for something. But we will otherwise, for main podcast duties, we will recommence on Wednesday the 24th of June 2026 for Season 7. And that's the next 10 Roud numbers, Rouds 61 to 70. And that's 9 more child ballads and 1 Christmas song. Hurrah! In the middle of August. Looking forward to that already. Until then, that's it from me. Stay safe, be well, and I'll see you next time in the Roud.